we are on the road to WWE Backlash. That's right, just under 4 weeks away to WWE's return to Puerto Rico, the first time since New Year's Revolution in 2005. Of course, the show taking place on May the 6th. I'm going to go predict the match card for you here today of what matches I think will be on the show, maybe one or two that I would like to see. But kicking things off, let's talk about what I think the main event of this show will be. I think kind of self-explanatory at this point after Monday Night Raw last week. Brock Lesnar attacking Cody Rhodes, turning heel in the process as well. A vicious attack as well, with a steel chair and steel steps as well. It kind of reminded me of Extreme Rules 2012 when Brock Lesnar had returned to the company, beating down John Cena. And of course, when he actually returned, he did return the night after WrestleMania on that occasion, beating out John Cena, who had just lost to The Rock the night before. Of course, once in a lifetime, was staring into the crowd after that big loss. And Cody did the exact same thing after losing to Roman Reigns this past WrestleMania Sunday. So I see a bit of similarities here in the way that this has been put together. Now, of course, Brock had actually elected himself to be Cody's tag team partner, of course, against Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns on Raw. The reasoning that Brock was going to do this was because, well, the person that was going to be Cody's partner couldn't challenge for Roman's championships. Well, Brock had already had that taken away from him anyway, so he had nothing to lose. So in a way, it made perfect sense of storytelling as we got to that main event. Like I say, the turn happened before the match could even begin, and of course now it feels inevitable that we'll get Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar at Backlash. And for me, as I said there, with the stipulation, I'd put it as an Extreme Rules match, just because I felt that beatdown. I think it would add a bit more personal feeling to this match as well. I think it could protect Brock in defeat also, because I would see Cody Rhodes getting a massive win after losing at WrestleMania 39. The only thing we don't know at this point though is why. Wade Barrett did go onto SmackDown and say what he had heard, saying the fact that Brock Lesnar was jealous that his match went on first while Cody went on last. Well, Cody did win the Royal Rumble and was facing Roman Reigns, so it seemed quite self-explanatory why Cody would be the main event of WrestleMania and not Brock Lesnar. For me, I'm not really a big fan if that is the explanation going forward. For me personally, the way I would see it, I would have Brock come out and say that Cody made him a believer. Cody would be the one to actually defeat Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar's not been able to go for a world championship since last year at SummerSlam when he lost to Roman Reigns. He was ready to go for a championship once again in WWE. He wanted to be the man once again. Cody was always going to be the target after WrestleMania, but the fact that Cody let him down when he made a believer out of him, Brock Lesnar just wouldn't accept that, and that's why now the beating is going to be 10 times worse, because, well, Cody, after all, didn't deserve to be in that position. For me, that's a much more logical way of booking this storyline, personally, going forward. Vince McMahon, if you are watching, feel free to rewrite that Raw script before it goes on air later on. But at the same time, that's how I would book it. And for me, yes, I'd have Cody Rhodes picking up the victory. One other storyline that we could kind of take from last week's Raw as well was the beatdown of Bad Bunny, the host of Backlash as well, of course, with it being in Puerto Rico, Bad Bunny being from there as well. It's really good to see we've got that mainstream attention coming in for this show as well. It's really exciting to see, but I don't think it stops there. I think, as we see it on the screen already, Bad Bunny's going to be in a match. The beatdown from Damian Priest, of course, was quite a vicious one, going for a table as well after Bad Bunny had hit Dominik Mysterio. Of course, that was not unprovoked. Of course, Bad Bunny did get involved in the WrestleMania match, but of course, Dominik did get in Bad Bunny's face on Monday Night Raw before Bad Bunny gave him the hit. It feels that for me, we could get a big special attraction tag team match here. Rey Mysterio and Bad Bunny going against Dominik Mysterio and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day. This could be a real big time feel for Puerto Rico as well. Like I say, having Bad Bunny there in a match as well. Damian Priest, I believe, as well, from New York, but I believe also has Puerto Rican heritage as well. These, of course, were partners at WrestleMania 37 as well. Yeah, they have history together as well as teammates. Now, of course, they were friends. Now they're going to be enemies. We've got Rey and Dom continuing their storyline as well. Rey Mysterio, of course, Spanish-speaking luchador, one of the greatest luchadors, if not the greatest luchador of all time. It just makes perfect sense to make this a special attraction match. And, of course, the big W as well for Rey Mysterio and Bad Bunny will make a lot of sense as well on this show. Imagine that pop from the Puerto Rican crowd. That could really make this show something really, really special, something I personally would really love to see. Next then, let's talk about a WrestleMania rematch, shall we? Let's talk about those unified tag team championships. The new champions Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens defending against the Usos one more time. I mean, the story for me here is all about those tag team championships. Roman is not on TV at present. We're not sure when he will return. I imagine it could be for the King and Queen of the Ring, with it being in Saudi Arabia. Of course, it could be SummerSlam as well. In the meantime, Jimmy and Jay need to get those championships back. Roman retained his championship at WrestleMania. Jimmy and Jay didn't. They lost theirs. For the first time, the Bloodline losing a championship out of this group in I don't know how long. It's what, like a year and a half at this point. The Usos are the longest reigning tag team champions of all time. Still, Roman will not take a loss at this point and, not make these guys feel bad about it. So in the meantime, they need to go and get those championships back. You could add Riddle and Solo Sikoa into this feud, but for me, Riddle should nullify and keep Solo out of this, so it just remains 2-on-2. The 6-man tag team match could be something WWE might look to do as well, but for me personally, keep it as this WrestleMania rematch. Like I say, the championships are the most important ingredient about this rematch. And of course, Sami saying to Jay, look, let's find that way out for you. Let's find a way out for Jimmy as well. There is a way out at the end of this. Well, I do think that will eventually get through to Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo. I think the turn on Roman is coming. But in the meantime here, I see Sami and KO having that rematch and retaining those tag team championships. Next, let's talk about the SmackDown Women's Championship. I've gone for Rhea Ripley, the new champion, to defend against Raquel Rodriguez. Now, I know there was a stare down on Monday Night Raw last week between Rhea and Bianca Belair, of course, in ring, and Rhea said there was unfinished business. Not yet, we will come back to it. It's still not yet. So I think we're looking perhaps maybe a SummerSlam, maybe a WrestleMania next year, probably even after the draft. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. The draft could impact this show a lot depending on when it's going to be. But of course, as that segment was ending, Raquel Rodriguez was coming out for her tag team match with Liv Morgan. On the way to the ring, there was just a moment where we saw Raquel Rodriguez stop and look at Rhea Ripley. And of course, more importantly, look at the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, we all know when we get that lucky look from a lady what it can mean sometimes, and quite clearly for me, I think Raquel has made her eyes on the prize to be the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, I know she's got an opportunity to win the Women's Tag Team Championships before that. I think that her and Liv will fail in that effort. I believe that Becky and Lita will retain. I think some sort of number one contenders match will be made, and I think Raquel Rodriguez will be the one to take on Rhea Ripley at Backlash. Of course, Raquel Rodriguez also fluent in Spanish. I think that she'll definitely get a big pop from the crowd as well. So I think she would be actually the right choice to go for that championship on this occasion. And I could see also, if Rhea's a long-term SmackDown Women's Champion, speaking about the draft already, I could see Raquel Rodriguez being moved over to Monday Night Raw. Well, I mentioned Bianca Belair. Of course, if she's not going to take on Rhea Ripley, who will she take on? Well, she's beaten pretty much everybody on the Raw roster. She's just beat Asuka once again at WrestleMania. She's had feuds with Becky Lynch and with Bayley. So who is there left, really? There's not much talent there. So for me, I'm going to go for an up-and-comer. I'm going to go for Chelsea Green. I think it'd be a great opportunity for her to have a match against Bianca Belair on this show. If I was getting for what I want, again, depending if the draft was to happen before this show, I'd like it to be Liv Morgan getting a match against Bianca Belair. It's a good opportunity, a space open for Liv to get that sort of top spot once again, to go for a top championship. But of course, whoever it's going to be, I see Bianca retaining and becoming the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion of all time in WWE. Next, I've gone for good friends, better enemies. Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. Sheamus as the babyface and Drew McIntyre as the heel. Let's be fair, the story was building on the road to WrestleMania. Drew almost trying to take Sheamus' moment away from him. It became a triple threat match. Of course, Gunther then did retain the championship at WrestleMania. So it kind of leaves Sheamus and Drew to almost fight off with each other once again. We did see the Brawling Brutes though defeat Imperium this past week on SmackDown. Could lead to Sheamus getting another title shot on SmackDown potentially, where I can see Drew coming, costing Sheamus that match, solidifying that heel turn, and then we get Sheamus versus Drew here at Backlash. And for me personally, these two have tore it down every time they've fought before, but to see Sheamus as the babyface and Drew as the heel, Drew refreshed as well as a heel, I think could be a lot of fun for storytelling and for match quality as well. And if you're going to do it that way, then I think Drew probably would need to pick up the victory, as he would be the heel, and of course he would be the one with the refreshed character moving forward. Of course, if he is going to hopefully re-sign with WWE later in the year, then you want to try and get him back in a prominent role in the company as well. Last match I've gone with is Seth Freakin Rollins, and to be fair, I just want to get him on the show. You couldn't do a show in Puerto Rico without that theme song, can you? Seth Rollins is on a roll right now, and of course, winning at WrestleMania over Logan Paul. There could be sense to do a match, say, with The Miz once again, because The Miz was kind of the mouthpiece on the build to that WrestleMania match. You could do that. We've seen Austin Theory. We've seen Bobby Lashley. We need to see something fresh. I'd like to see Finn Balor personally. I think that would be an awesome match. But what I could see them doing, if not any of the four I've mentioned, is Omos. We're talking about the attraction once again. Omos just coming off WrestleMania, losing to Brock Lesnar, but of course he got a big victory on Raw this past week as well, beating Elias. Feels they want to keep the role going, and of course with these sort of shows coming up, we've got Puerto Rico now for Backlash. Then we've got King and Queen of the Ring as well in Saudi Arabia. Omos is usually used for these types of shows, so Seth Rollins could be an interesting one to do. Again, I mentioned the draft could be coming up. Almost could be a mover to SmackDown in my opinion, depending on what goes on. So yeah, let's wait and see. I could see Seth Rollins against Almost potentially as a match before they're split up in the draft, because, well, Seth Rollins can still get a big victory over Omos. It could seem like the David versus Goliath storyline as well, so that could be quite fun and interesting to see. But most importantly, Seth Rollins needs to be on this card. So that's my predicted match card there for Backlash 2023. Let me know what you think of the card in the comments below, and of course while you're at it, let me know what matches you want to see on this show. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do consider hitting the like button. Really helps the channel out a lot. Share with a friend as well. Word of mouth helps grow the channel as well. Subscribe to SCW if you're new here, and of course subscribe as well if you enjoy WWE, AEW and Impact Wrestling content. And do you know what? Lots more of a wrestling is featured on the channel as well. Predictions, reviews, fantasy booking, Q&As, and much, much more with the pre-recorded or live streams. Check out some of the videos on the side of your screen right now. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you next time here on YouTube. And keep an eye out as well, because there'll be a lot of WWE draft content coming up, along with Impact Wrestling's Rebellion, and also AEW. We've got some big shows coming up, including Double or Nothing, and of course that show at Wembley Stadium and All In. There's plenty to talk about, plenty to discuss, and plenty of videos coming to this channel soon.